I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel and like this video. My goal is to reach the first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you and enjoy. Before I start, here's the practical point of this story. Most people think disrespect shows up as yelling, insults, or big blow-ups. It usually doesn't. It shows up as documentation. A partner stops arguing to solve anything and starts collecting moments to use later. They recruit an audience, shape the narrative, and suddenly you're defending yourself in rooms you're not even in. This is about how to spot that early, how to stop feeding it with emotional reactions, how to set clean boundaries without drama, and how to protect your time, your reputation, and your resources without turning into a bitter guy. Calm rules beat emotional speeches. Every time. The moment I knew something was off wasn't a scream. It was the pause. Taylor had started closing herself in our bedroom during the day. I'm tired. I need quiet. Fine. A shared house still has personal space. I respected it. I'd walk past softer, bring her water, keep my calls in the kitchen. Then one afternoon I passed the door and heard a low voice. Not a show. Not a podcast. A real conversation. I knocked. Silence. Then, perfectly even, "Yeah, come in." I opened the door, and she was sitting on the bed with her phone held like a remote control. Calm face. Clean posture. Like she'd been waiting for the exact moment to look innocent. I kept my tone flat. "Who were you talking to?" She didn't blink. "No one. A friend. A friend who stops talking when I knock." Taylor's mouth did that little corner smile she used when she wanted me to feel stupid. "Flynn, don't start. I told you I need quiet." "Quiet is quiet," I replied, letting my eyes stay on hers. Not whispering behind a closed door. I turned and walked out. No scene. No speech. I just logged it. If I'd known where that pause was headed, I would have changed the rules sooner. Not because I'm paranoid. Because I'm not slow. The next week is when it clicked. Taylor wasn't trying to understand me anymore. She wasn't even trying to win an argument. She was building a file. It started as normal couple stuff. Dishes. Schedules. A comment here and there. Then my sister Kim called with the voice of a school administrator. "Flynn," she began, slow and careful. "Are you pressuring Taylor again? She says you snap over little things." I let out a short laugh. "Kim, if I was snapping, you wouldn't be opening with again like you're handing out detention slips. Don't do that. I'm serious." "So am I," I cut in. "When did you become her spokesperson?" Kim hesitated. She called me upset. She said you get cold and controlling. "Interesting," I answered, leaning on my counter, staring at the fridge like it owed me money. "Because I haven't told you anything about our private stuff. But you have a full summary. She's my sister-in-law. She's my wife," I corrected, clean and sharp. "And she's using my family like a group chat." Kim sighed like I was the problem for noticing. "Maybe you should be softer." "I'll be clear," I told her. "Soft is for towels." That was the first echo. The second came at a family dinner. Aunt Mary, sweet on the outside and blunt underneath, pointed a finger at me over mashed potatoes like she was swearing in a witness. "Taylor is exhausted," she announced. "You're too hard on her, Flynn." Taylor sat beside me, quiet, hands folded, that careful face that said I'm just here. I'm not doing anything. It's a skill. Some people learn it in college. She learned it somewhere else. I looked at Taylor. "You already told them your version, didn't you?" She shrugged, still polite. "I just needed support. You don't really give me any." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue at the table. I did what adults do when they realize the rules changed. I changed mine. I stopped doing shared weekends with my family. Not out of spite. Out of hygiene. I stopped discussing anything personal around relatives. I moved our household decisions into a short, factual format. A list on the fridge, scheduled check-ins. No late-night emotional debates. Less talk. More logistics. Taylor hated it. Control without noise was her style. And the less emotion I gave her, the more she tried to extract one. Little digs. "You're like a robot," she muttered one morning while I made coffee. I didn't look up. "Robots don't pay mortgages." "Try again." She blinked like she didn't expect resistance. Then the silence games. Then sudden demands. "Explain yourself normally," she insisted one night, standing in the kitchen doorway like she owned the light switch. "I am," I replied. "Normal is just boring when it's not a fight." She leaned her shoulder into the frame. "So you're not going to talk?" "I'm talking," I corrected. "I'm just not performing." And right after that, another call from a relative. Another concerned voice. Another set of conclusions pre-packaged like freezer meals. Taylor wasn't trying to fix us. She was preparing a stage where I'd already been cast as the villain. A couple days later, I got my confirmation. I came home early. I didn't announce it. No stomping, no keys jingling like a warning bell. I walked down the hall and heard her again, soft voice behind the bedroom door. "Not now," she whispered into the phone. "I'll text later. He's home." "No, it's fine." I stopped, just long enough to let that land. Then I walked away as quietly as I'd come. That was the first real hint of her goal. She wasn't hiding from me because she needed peace. She was managing timing, managing an audience, managing a plan. That night, she went into soft mode. She brought me coffee like a peace offering, set it down carefully, and asked, too sweet, "How was your day?" I watched her hands. Steady, controlled. This wasn't warmth. It was a test. "Productive," I answered. She sat across from me. "I've been thinking. Maybe we've both been tense." "Maybe," I replied, letting the words sit like a paperweight. Taylor tilted her head. "I don't like how distant you've been. I don't like how public you've been." I shot back. Her eyes widened a fraction. "I'm not public. I just talk to people." "You talk to my people," I corrected. "And somehow they all call me using your vocabulary." She gave me that small, wounded smile. "So I'm not allowed to have support." "You're allowed support," I told her. "You're not allowed to recruit a jury." Taylor's face cooled. The softness vanished as fast as it arrived. Like someone flipped a switch inside her. "Wow," she said. "Listen to you. You think everyone is against you." "I think you're building a circle where I can't speak," I answered. "And you're doing it on purpose." She stood up, grabbed her mug, and walked away like the conversation was beneath her. "You're impossible." I watched her go and made a decision right there. I wasn't going to compete inside a story she was writing. The next morning I took initiative again, quietly, practically. I moved my direct deposit into an account in my name only. Not to punish her. To stop confusion. I also set a new rule. Household expenses would be paid from a joint bill account we both could see, with clear transfers. No more fuzzy money. No more, "I don't know where it went." If Taylor wanted a narrative, she could have facts instead. She noticed the first day. We were in the garage, both standing near the shelves like strangers at a hardware store. "Why did the card decline at the grocery store?" she asked, holding her phone up like evidence. "Because I changed how we fund things," I replied. "Bills get funded weekly. Personal spending stays personal." Her jaw tightened. "So you're cutting me off." "I'm organizing," I corrected. "Adults organize." "This is controlling," she snapped. I gave her a calm look. "Control is making phone calls about me while you hide behind a door. Organization is a spreadsheet." Her eyes flashed. "You're really proud of being cold." "I'm proud of being clear." That night, she tried a different angle. She called my sister again. Kim texted me a long message about communication and emotionally safe space. It read like Taylor had edited it. I didn't argue with Kim. I didn't plead with Taylor. I picked a better battlefield, daylight and witnesses. A few days later, Mark invited us to a casual backyard get-together. Nothing fancy, just friends, burgers, and people who had known me long enough to smell nonsense. Mark is my friend from work, the kind of guy who laughs with his whole chest and speaks in short, blunt sentences. His wife, Denise, runs the social world like she's a project manager. Good people. No drama addiction. Taylor walked in like she was stepping onto a stage. Bright smile. Light touch on my arm. The perfect picture. Denise handed Taylor a plate. "How are you guys doing?" Taylor sighed in a way that was meant to be heard. "We're managing. Flynn is just intense." I turned my head slowly toward her. "We're not doing that here." Taylor blinked. "Doing what?" "Performing," I replied, keeping it even. "If you want to talk about us, we do it at home. Not at Mark's grill." Denise's eyebrows lifted. Mark paused mid-flip with the spatula. Taylor's smile stayed, but her eyes went hard. "So now I'm not allowed to speak." "You're allowed to speak," I said. "You're not allowed to recruit." Mark let out a short laugh, not mocking, more like appreciation for the clarity. "Fair," he said, and went back to the grill like he'd just watched a clean play. Taylor's cheeks pinked. "You're embarrassing me." "I'm setting a boundary," I corrected. "Big difference." She leaned close, voice low. "You always have to win." "I don't have to win," I replied. "I just won't lose respect in public." That was initiative anti-jury, and she hated it because it took away her advantage, the quiet victim act with an audience. For about 2 hours she played nice, laughing too loud at Denise's jokes, touching my shoulder like a supportive spouse. The performance was flawless. Then we got in the car. Her voice turned sharp the moment the doors closed. "You humiliated me. I stopped you," I answered, hands steady on the wheel. "You made me look crazy. You made yourself look managed," I corrected. "I'm done watching you audition." Taylor stared out the window, then smiled like she'd just thought of something. "Okay," she said softly. "If that's what you need. I'll try. I'll be better." There it was, the first illusion of change. Light apology. A little sweetness. A promise with no weight. I didn't buy it, but I also didn't argue. "Good," I replied. "Start by keeping our marriage out of other people's mouths." She nodded. "Fine." 2 days later, she was extra helpful. She folded laundry without being asked. She asked about my day, listened, even laughed at a dumb story from work. And I'll admit, I relaxed for a second. Not because I'm weak. Because I'm human and I wanted my house to feel like home. Then my Aunt Mary called again, asking if I was getting help for my anger. I stared at my phone like it was a prank. I hadn't raised my voice in weeks. I hadn't slammed anything. I'd been calm enough to teach a class. I walked into the bedroom where Taylor was brushing her hair. Aunt Mary called. I told her. Wants to know if I'm getting help for my anger. Taylor didn't turn around. Maybe she's worried. She's worried because someone fed her a story, I replied. Was that you? Taylor's brush kept moving, slow and smooth. I didn't feed anyone. People notice things. People notice what you tell them, I said. She finally faced me, eyes wide like she couldn't believe I'd accuse her. Flynn, you're doing it again. Making me the bad guy. I let out a short breath through my nose. You brought me coffee with one hand and dialed my family with the other. Her mouth tightened. I was trying to protect myself. From what? I asked. A man quietly making spreadsheets? Taylor stepped closer. From your mood swings. From how you make me feel small. I held her gaze. You feel small because you can't control the room anymore. Her nostrils flared. You're impossible. I nodded once. Good. That's the goal. That night, instead of another circular argument, I made a single phone call. Not to Taylor. To her mother. Her mom, Linda, is polite in that tight way that says she's always evaluating you. She's defended Taylor in the past like it was her job. Linda answered on the second ring. Flynn. Hi, Linda, I said. I won't take long. I need you to know facts. Names. Dates. Not stories. There was a pause. Okay. I kept my voice steady and simple. Taylor has been calling my sister Kim and my Aunt Mary about our private issues. They're repeating phrases I never used. It's creating a narrative that I'm unstable. Meanwhile, she's been taking private calls behind closed doors, stopping the second I knock. Linda didn't respond right away. I continued, not emotional, just clear. I'm not asking you to take sides. I'm asking you to notice patterns. Because I won't be painted into a corner. Linda exhaled slowly. I need to think. That's all I wanted, I replied. Thank you. I hung up and felt something settle. Not anger. Certainty. The next day, Taylor went to Linda's house like she always did when she wanted backup. She came home late. Dry eyes. Tight jaw. Hard voice. You called my mother, she said from the doorway. I did. I replied, sitting at the kitchen table with the household list in front of me. Taylor stepped in like a storm contained in a human shape. So you're trying to turn her against me. I didn't turn anyone, I answered. I removed fog. Taylor laughed once, sharp and fake. You're unbelievable. You're so calculated. I raised an eyebrow. Pot, meat kettle. She slammed her purse onto the counter. You're trying to control everything. No, I corrected. I'm controlling access to me. That's different. Taylor leaned forward. You think you're some kind of hero. I think I'm a grown man, I replied. And I don't live inside someone else's campaign. Her eyes narrowed. Campaign. Wow. I stood up slowly, not looming, just ending the angle. Here's what happens next. We keep communication in writing for logistics, bills, schedules, basic house stuff. Anything emotional stays private and short. If you talk about me to my family again, I will correct it directly, in person, with facts. She scoffed. You can't stop me from talking. I can stop you from using my name without response, I said. That's the part you hate. Taylor's face shifted. The anger softened into something more dangerous, patience, like she was switching strategies in real time. Fine, she said quietly. If that's how you want it. She walked upstairs and closed the bedroom door with just enough force to communicate attitude, not enough to be accused of anything. She was always careful. 2 days later, she escalated. Not with me. With our circle. She started telling mutual friends she'd been carrying the relationship for years. That she'd been walking on eggshells. She never used big dramatic claims. She just dropped enough to make people wonder. At a small dinner with friends, she did it right in front of me. Denise asked, "So, any trips planned this summer?" Taylor gave a sad smile. "I don't plan much anymore. Flynn doesn't really do flexibility." I set my fork down. "Taylor, stop." She turned to me, innocent face. "Stop what?" "Hinting," I replied. "If you want to accuse me of something, say it plainly." Denise went still. Mark leaned back, watching. Taylor's voice turned sweet. "I'm not accusing. I'm just answering." I nodded. "Then answer this. Why are my relatives suddenly worried about my anger when I haven't raised my voice in weeks?" Taylor blinked. "Maybe you don't notice yourself." Mark finally spoke up, calm and direct. "I've known Flynn a long time," he said. "He's not perfect, but he's straight. If he was some out-of-control guy, we'd know. We'd have seen it." Taylor smiled at him like she was taking a photo. "That's kind of you." But her hands were under the table. Her thumbs moved. Texting, logging, counting. That was the kill turn, even if it didn't look dramatic. The moment I watched her gather witnesses while pretending to be gentle, I knew the respect was gone. Not hurt. Gone. I didn't argue more at dinner. I didn't defend myself into exhaustion. I did the adult thing again. When we got home, I went upstairs, pulled a duffel out of the closet, and packed like I was going on a work trip. Clean, efficient, no emotion show. Clothes, toiletries, laptop, a couple important documents from my desk drawer. I didn't take anything petty, just what was mine. Taylor appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. "What are you doing?" "Taking space," I replied. "So you're abandoning me." "I'm stepping out of a script," I corrected, zipping the bag. "You can act shocked if you want. But you built this." Her eyes flashed. "You're running." I looked at her. "Running is panic. This is planning." Taylor's voice rose a notch. "You can't just leave when things get hard." I picked up my keys. "I'm not leaving because it's hard. I'm leaving because it's dishonest." She followed me down the stairs. "You think you're so calm. You think that makes you right." "I think calm keeps me from saying things I can't take back," I answered at the door. "You should try it sometime." Taylor's mouth opened like she had a line ready. Then she stopped herself, probably because she realized yelling wouldn't fit the image she was building. "Fine," she said cold. "Go. I'll tell people exactly what you're doing." I nodded once. "And I'll tell them why." I left. No slamming doors. No dramatic drive-off. I stayed at Mark's guest room for a few days, because he offered without questions. The first morning there, Mark handed me coffee and kept it simple. "You good?" "I'm clear," I replied. "That's good," he said. Clear beats loud. Taylor didn't call the first day. The second day, she texted a short message. "Can we talk?" "Please." I waited, then sent one line back. "Logistics only. Email me bills and schedule." An hour later, she sent another message. Warmer. "I miss you." "I'm sorry." I didn't realize how it was coming across. Second illusion of change was loading, but she hadn't earned it. Still, she tried a different form. Heavier affection, a bigger apology, a comeback, pull. I didn't bite. I replied with one sentence. "I'll be home Friday at 6 to pick up the rest of my things." Friday came. I got to the house at 6:02. Taylor had lit candles in the living room like this was a movie. She dressed up. She even had dinner set on the table. She stood there, hands clasped. "I made your favorite." I looked at the table, then at her. "Taylor, stop staging." Her face tightened. "It's not staging. I'm trying." "You're trying to reset the vibe without resetting your behavior," I replied. She stepped closer. "I can change. I've been thinking. Maybe I got carried away talking to people." "Maybe," I echoed. She touched my arm. I just felt alone. I moved my arm gently out of reach. "You weren't alone. You were building a crowd." Taylor's eyes shimmered like she was ready to perform tears if needed. "So that's it. You're done." "I'm done with disrespect," I corrected. "If we're together, it's on respect. If it's on narrative management, I'm out." She swallowed. "You're really going to throw everything away because I talked to your family?" "No," I replied, walking toward the stairs. "I'm leaving because you stopped being my partner and started being my editor." Taylor followed. I didn't. I cut her off with a raised hand. "Don't. I'm not taking another lap." Upstairs, I opened the closet and started pulling hangers. Taylor stood in the doorway like a guard. "You're making a mistake," she said. "I make mistakes when I ignore patterns," I answered, folding shirts into a box. "This is me correcting one." She crossed her arms. "So what now? You're just going to disappear and let everyone think I'm the problem?" I looked up. "You already made sure everyone thinks I'm the problem. That was your whole setup." Her face hardened again. "You're arrogant." I smiled once, tired but steady. "No, I'm allergic to disrespect." Taylor's voice turned sharp. "You think you can just walk out and keep your image clean?" "I don't need clean," I replied, taping the box shut. "I need honest." She laughed, bitter. "So you're going to tell everyone I'm some kind of monster?" "I don't do labels," I told her. "I do facts. Like this. You called my family to shape their opinion of me. You spoke about me behind doors. You hinted to friends. You kept receipts instead of building trust." Her eyes flicked, small panic. "You can't prove any of that." I picked up my phone, unlocked it, and showed her a folder of screenshots, texts from Kim, Aunt Mary, and a couple friends, all repeating Taylor's same phrases. Not edited, not dramatic, just consistent. Taylor stared at the screen. "Why do you have that?" I slid the phone back into my pocket. "Because I'm not stupid." She went quiet. That silence wasn't peaceful. It was the silence of someone realizing the story won't land the way they planned. I carried the boxes down to my car. Taylor followed, still trying to regain footing. "So what? You're going to tell my mom?" she asked. "I already did," I replied. Her mouth opened, then closed. She glanced around the neighborhood like she could already feel eyes on her. "You're trying to ruin me," she said. I shook my head. "I'm removing myself." "You ruin yourself when you treat people like props." Taylor's voice softened suddenly. "Too late." "Flynn, please. We can fix this." I set the last box in the trunk and closed it calmly. Then I finally gave her the line that ended it clean. "We don't fix respect," I told her. "We either have it or we don't. And you traded it for control." Taylor's face shifted, anger, then fear, then that empty composure again. I got in the car, started it, and drove away without looking back. A month later, my life was quieter, cleaner, and honestly better. I rented a small place across town. Simple, bright, no tension in the walls. I focused on work and moved up into a role that required more travel and more responsibility. I spent weekends with friends who didn't ask for stories, just showed up. I saw my sister Kim for coffee and kept it respectful but firm. Kim tried once. "Taylor says you're painting her badly." I stirred my coffee slowly. "Kim, I'm not painting. I'm living." She looked down, embarrassed. "I didn't realize." "I know," I replied. "That's why I'm telling you now. Don't carry messages for anybody. If you want me, talk to me." Kim nodded. "Okay." As for Taylor, her circle didn't hold the way she thought it would. People get tired of being used as emotional employees. A couple of our friends stopped answering her long messages. Her mom went colder with her, not cruel, just cautious. The perfect wife image started cracking because there was no villain left to blame in person. And me? I started dating again after a while. Not to replace Taylor. To move forward. I met a woman who spoke plainly, laughed easily, and didn't need an audience to feel secure. My home felt like a home again. My mind felt like mine again. Taylor wanted control, comfort, and status without honesty. When I stepped out of her script, she lost the stage. Here's what I took from it. And if you're listening to this like a man trying to keep his life steady, remember these. First, when someone stops arguing to solve something and starts collecting moments, your job is not to out-talk them. Your job is to stop feeding it. I moved our talks into facts and logistics, and it exposed what she was really doing. Emotional speeches are easy to twist. Clean rules aren't. Second, don't let your private life become community entertainment. The second I heard my own relatives repeating her phrasing, I knew it wasn't about peace. So I set a boundary in public, on someone else's turf, with witnesses. Calmly. One sentence. No theatrics. If you avoid that moment out of politeness, you'll pay for it later in reputation. Third, the mistake would have been staying in endless talks, trying to be understood by someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. Another mistake would have been reacting loud and giving her the exact clip she wanted. I didn't do either. I moved money into clear channels, I limited access to my time, and I left when the pattern became obvious. Comfort without respect is a trap. Respect without comfort can be rebuilt. but only if both people play fair. If one person is writing a script and recruiting an audience, your strength is simple: calm decisions, early boundaries, and the willingness to walk when the deal changes. That's the end of the story. And since you're here, you must have enjoyed it. Why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos? Thanks, and have a nice day.